Welcome back to episode 79 of the Owl Triangle. The band is back together. Andy, Stevenson, Caoilte, Barra back with me, Ian O'Neill, to bring you all the latest news in Irish mixed martial arts. We got some Paul Hughes, big news, fight news, coming up straight off the bat here. Obviously, we're going to take a look at Iúr. A couple of wins on the professional scenes from Paul Buckley, Omar Tagarev, Omar Shaban, Henry Fadipe, Domnor, because we're going to talk about all of those fights. The IMMAF Euros went down as well. A lot has happened since me and Caoilte were with you on the last episode, and a lot has happened since Andy Stevenson, the Sri Lankan prince, is now back with us to break down the news. Andy, how are you keeping? Did you enjoy your holiday?
Wagwan fam. Yeah, had a great time away. Appreciated the abuse I was listening to the last time. There was some slander about my team, which I am fully happy with my team, for the record. But look, it's great to be back. It is. It's great to be back. I feel like I've been gone for about 2 years, and I don't know which way is up. Everything has been happening in Irish MMA, but you lads have covered it all mightily while I've been away. So it was lovely to kind of just sit back and listen to the last episode of the Ould Triangle. So, but it's good to be back in the chair here now. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We're glad to have you back. And I think
I look tan? I was told I look tan twice.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
You have as they say, you have a great color on you. You have
off white.
Do you like that? I find it hard sometimes to be out in the sun a little bit. I do pick up a color, but I horribly burnt myself once upon a time, and it's kind of worse. You know what I mean? It's kind of put me away. Like I'm a shade type of person now. I was in
that
Rome.
Sick feeling when you got the bad burn.
No, do you know what? Do you know what's the worst thing for me? Is because I'm a pretty bad sleeper anyway. But it's when you're trying to go to sleep and the sheets are sticking to you and you can't lie on your
top
back.
of the sheets. You can't even get under them.
I even thinking about it gives me the heebie-jeebies. But I digress. Caoilte, how are you keeping down there? Any sunburn down your direction? No.
You look like a man who does the sunbeds, Caoilte.
The beds are actually only around the corner from the house and all. You know that? No, they've not tempted me.
Nailed it.
It's the common thing in Limerick that now, but no, they've not tempted me in just yet. I think I get the head eaten off me if I even dared to go in there.
I could see you like the
it's
episode
not an Irish
Friends.
thing, to be fair, ain't it, not, lads? It's not. If you're told one of the boys, when I was back home, if I told one of the boys I'm heading to the sunbed, I think wouldn't be worth my life. I don't think.
Well, hang on. This is an MMA podcast, and I'm not gonna. I couldn't. I don't. There's no name that even comes to mind, but we could throw some amount of shade because there is actually Keith Keogh. Yeah, 100%. Keith Keogh 100% on the sunbeds. There's a name. There's one name. So like I'd say 50% of Irish MMA is on the sunbeds.
We'll have to drop off the list. But look, at when you're going out there in shorts and not in the sun, I think it's a little bit more understandable if you want to get a bit of colour on. It's either that or everybody heading over to Thailand there to do a bit of training and get a bit of sun on their back as well. But yeah. Anyway, look at
other things as well, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Jesus Stevenson. Andy Stevenson is back, ladies and gentlemen. The accusations are flying. Let's talk Paul Hughes, lads, from the get-go here. It was announced, Alzadino, on X during the week that there was a potential that the PFL were coming to Belfast. That was slowly but surely confirmed. He was unsure about Paul Hughes' involvement. I tell you, I was thinking it would have been the most PFL thing ever to have an event in Belfast and not have Paul Hughes on the card. Yeah, funny enough, I saw the poster today and I still had doubts. and then we had Paul up on his Instagram story confirming the news, the right news. May 10th, the SSE Arena. He gets to tick another dream off the bucket list, as he says, and headline the SSE Arena, and what will be a fantastic event on May 10th, I would imagine. You know, anything with Paul Hughes involved in it these days, you know it's going to be fireworks. Look, it probably should be Umar Nurmagomedov, lads, if we're being honest, but obviously, you know, he is not willing to compete, I think, until September. So they'll be putting Paul in there with somebody, and I'll be very interested to see who that could be. And maybe I'll throw that over to you, Caoilte, first. You know, it's going to be hard to match him up after, the obvious one here was Umar. It's going to be hard to match him up. Does any name spring to mind? Now, that being said, we do have about 8 of the top lightweights that are already tied up in the PFL lightweight tournament as well. So there's not too many names to pick from unless they're going to pull a rabbit out of a hat. The roster is quite thin for opponents that would meet a caliber that Paul Hughes needs, I feel. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I spent a bit of time beforehand, like searching through who, cause, I think some of the obvious ones are now in the tournament. Like, I think the ideal scenario for me would have been Mark Diakise, but obviously that's off the cards. Same with Brent Primus. But like, yeah, when you're trying to get someone towards a title later in the year, you want a good name, you want a good fight, and someone who's up there in the division that holds that bit of kind of maybe name value and ranking value, for lack of a better way of putting it. But like, I'm struggling to come up with people really. Like, the one that did come up from that wasn't in the tournament was Stevie Ray, just purely because I was clutching at straws trying to find names, to be honest. But I think, is he even still active or is he retired? I'm struggling basically.
I think he was fought in the Scotland card and then announced his retirement after that. But we all know how MMA retirements. Well.
Yeah, so I'm struggling for names. I need to sit down, flick through a roster and see and who it could be. Is because I don't know who's. I'm not sure if you can hear what's going on outside there, but there's massive bangs. So apologies for that.
Good.
But I honestly don't know who you could put in there with them. I do wonder if there any potential Irish versus Irish clash or Irish versus
is all
England
right. Yeah, there definitely is a potential Irish versus Irish. So let Andy maybe share his thoughts first before I kind of share mine. I don't want to take any names away from anyone here.
No, you're not taking names away from me at all. I imagine. I'll let you say it. For once, I won't say the Irish name. I'll let you say it. But I have no idea who they're going to match him up with here. The fight is Umar Nurmagomedov. Like, it should be the rematch immediately. But if you're not going to do that, I mean, you're taking a risk. No matter who's fighting in the world, if you have a fight that's in front of you, and everyone thinks it's the fight, and you should be making that fight, and then you make a different fight, it's always a banana skin, or a potential banana skin. So just give him anyone. This is about Paul Hughes' homecoming to Belfast, but at the same time, you want to sell out the SSE Arena. He's fighting there 8 years on after having that spectacular debut on that fight, which was headlined, if you remember, by Norman Park versus Paul Redmond, a brilliant domestic showdown, ended in a draw, if I remember. Or did Park win, or was that a draw? I think Park might have won. It was split decision. Park won split decision. But I mean, are you going to say Peter Quealy?
I'll give one Irish name, but there's not literally, like, I did the same as what Caoilte did, and I'm sure as what you did as well. It's like I just kind of went down through the rankings. I saw who was tied up. The first 3 names I picked were all a part of the tournament. I know I would have loved to have seen them against a guy like Shalaby or somebody like that. But obviously he's tied up in the tournament. The 3 names that I do have would be, for me, obviously you mentioned it already, the Irish versus Irish clash would be Peter Quealy. It'd be a fantastic fight. I think Shane Burgess would be another one that I would be very interested. I've seen Andy Hickey was kind of mentioning that on X a little bit earlier on, and I like that fight too. It's a good name, a tough opponent. And then the last one for me that I could see is Jakub Kasuba, 14-0 undefeated, being very impressive as well. I'm wondering would they throw him in. Those are the 3 that I kind of think that are realistic for me. I think for Irish interest, the Peter Quealy fight would be very good. I think that would sell. I think that would really sell. And it's hard to know about the other 2. Shane Burgess, obviously a good name, hasn't had the most successful run in the PFL since he moved over to UFC. But yet, he's a UFC vet. He's got good experience and, tough on the feet too. He's a tough nut. So, I mean, it's hard to get excited about any fight that's not Umar Nurmagomedov, if I'm being honest. But, I think you hit the nail on the head, Andy. It's all about Paul coming back home to the love and the adoration of the Belfast fans, and definitely, through all the work that he's done over the last couple of years, it's something that he definitely deserves, isn't it?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. He's the guy. He's the guy in Irish MMA at the moment. And he deserves, so often we've seen Irish MMA fighters come through and maybe not get the homecoming that. Well, actually, that's kind of bollocks. In the UFC, that's the case. In Bellator, we've obviously had many a night in Dublin with the likes of James Gallagher and Peter Queally and Liam McCourt and a heap of others who have headlined shows there. But it's brilliant. You know what? I'm delighted that it's not in Dublin. And I say that as someone from Dublin who has been to these events and has enjoyed them many, many times. This is about Paul Hughes and Belfast. It's the Northern Irish fighters who have been leading the charge the past couple of years on the world stage, with the exception of Ian Gary, I would say. And I think it's about time that Paul got this fight. I mean, he's captured the hearts and imaginations and respect of the world over with his recent performances against McKee and Nurmagomedov. And I think it was a no-brainer for PFL to bring it. It is a pity that it's well, we don't know, but it may not be the title fight. Do you know what I'm thinking on a night when and I am just purely stealing thunder here because I know nothing about boxing, but I know Caoilte was watching this earlier on, the Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan fight. You've got domestic showdowns. We're talking about Peter Queally. I mean, there are, in theory, depending on how far, I wouldn't say these are. These fights don't really make sense at all. But Dylan Tuke and John Mitchell are both signed to PFL and are both in the lightweight division. And if you wanted to go out of left field and go full domestic showdown, well, then there's a couple of options there. Now, obviously, they're not fighting at that same level of opponent that Paul has been fighting at, so it would be a big jump for either lad. But I know if either of them heard me speaking like this, like Dylan Tuke would jump in that fight in a heartbeat. I'm sure John Mitchell, I don't know, maybe he's a bit closer with Paul than Dylan is, so he might not want, from a just camaraderie perspective, to take that fight. But like,
yeah,
headline a fight in Belfast.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Like, and I think if they don't fight each other, you're definitely I'd be looking to put the likes of Dylan and John and a couple of the other Irish.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, you have obviously Nathan Kelly was announced for the tournament, so he's kind of going to be out as well. So I mean, you can build a good, solid Irish card there. In Belfast, and obviously look at it, it's going to be hard to look past anyone who any fight other than what Paul Hughes can bring to the table here as well. And Caoilte, we leave it on this one. I'll send it over to you. Like, Paul is definitely, in my opinion, making the right decision to get back in there and fight and stay active. That's been working for him over the last number of years, and you got to keep the momentum going as well, rather than sit on the sidelines maybe till September. Then if it doesn't happen in September, then you're out for more months again. He's definitely making the right call here. Would you think?
Yeah, it's as Andy said, it's all about him, this coming back, and the fact that he's performed in the last two fights to the level. And like, when you're on that wave of momentum, you're riding that wave of momentum, and the performances you're putting on and the levels you're reaching every fight are just completely different to the last, and just getting better and better. Then I don't see, there's no reason to weigh it out. I think you'd be nearly itching to get back in and show how much better you've gotten since that last one again, because every time we see him, it's just this whole different fighter. He's just come on leaps and bounds, and it's just incredible to see. And it's a shame to fight that it's just not the Usman Nurmagomedov fight. I'm going to correct you both there. It's not Umar. But
that ring rust is showing for me here in the podcast. Jesus.
I was just worried about saying Nurmagomedov because I'd have struggled with it. I can say Habib Nurmagomedov, but every time I had Umar or Usman, I always struggled. I don't know what it is. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but thanks for squaring that.
You're not allowed to talk about Habib. I mean, that you show respect there. Looking traitor.
Yeah, I know, right? I love it. But yeah, look, at interesting times. I think it's a great move. It to get a show back in Ireland as well is very, very important for the scene there as well. And hopefully, fair play to Paul. He's bringing the show back. I know it was due to happen somewhere else. A couple of things fell through. And it's kind of maybe a little bit of luck that it fell this way, but PFL, haven't been making all the right moves lately, but it was definitely the right move. Bring it to Belfast, put Paul Hughes at the top of the bill, and sell out the SSE Arena. It should be a fantastic night on May 10th. But we must move on. We've got a metric ton of other stuff to talk about, and I'd like to stop next at Iúr Fighting Championships happened last weekend, February 23rd in Newry. Fantastic card again. Lots of great professional fights and amateur fights now that we're going to run through. Shout out to Paul Brown, to Andrew McGahan, and to Damien Rooney, who did a fantastic job in the booth as well. Giving us the old shout out to, we much appreciated it all. A few digs at the SevereMMA podcast too, which didn't go unnoticed. Very funny as well. But it was a fantastic night of fights, lads, overall. And we'll start off with the main event, a main event that we were all looking forward to, really, with Team Ciaran, Brady, and Gheorghe Grozav. The type of fights that we want to see happening on these cards, and for the exact reason for the way the fight played out. Fantastic matchup. We didn't know who was going to win. On paper, I think maybe we've all been fancying Grozav, considering his run up into this fight. But it wasn't to be. Ciaran Brady put on an absolutely fantastic performance, didn't he, Caoilte?
Yeah, what a fight. Just what a fight. The matchmaking, you have to commend the two lads taking it. That's a fight that would not be out of place and would be very much deserving to be on a Cage Warriors card. Like, it's one of those you'd expect to see on a Dublin card, but worthy of a main event. I'd argue it would probably have been worthy of a regional title as well, considering the level of of them both, and the fight they put on really represented the level that they're both at. The scrambles constantly, the exchanges on the feet, it was fantastic. But Brady really, he was fantastic on the night. Like the way it started up, Grozav was on the front foot early, got that takedown, full mount. Brady booked him off. Then they had the triangle attempt for Grozav. I thought we were getting the first out triangle of the year. Then the switch.
I almost texted you in the group. I was like, "Fuck, we could have him on here, guys." But yeah, no bueno on that. I was very close though, very close.
It was tight, and then he switched the armbar, and then there was that moment where Brady spotted, got out, and then he gets the back rear naked choke locked in. And then the round ends, and it was brilliant. Second round, the exchanges on the feet, the two of them, and it looked like Grozav was actually tiring a little bit in that second round until Brady started, and Brady was coming on. He looked good. He was landing some nice kicks to the body as well. And then the scrambles that began on the floor. Just what a fight! I really enjoyed it, and as it got to the end, I think Grozav had the back. Slipped off. Brady on top, side control, gets the back, and then he gets the rear naked choke. There's so much. It's a mouthful, that entire fight, but wow. Fair play to both. Fair play to Decky. Massive start to the regional scene for the year, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was really great stuff, Andy. I mean, it was 100 miles an hour from the starting bell. And, you could see how well matched both these guys were in the grappling exchanges, on the feet too, and in the clinch. Slight errors were costing fighters, like Creature said, slips and missed moves and stuff like that. But, it was really tremendous showcase of mixed martial arts overall, wasn't it?
It was fucking brilliant. It was like, this is everything that we've been talking about and calling for, and kind of just willing to happen on the regional scene. Is these type, we get them week in, week out on the amateurs, because we see the amateurs come up and you've got loads of brilliant matchups. But then once lads get to pro, they just kind of go their separate ways, and that's fine. But I just think this is so beneficial for Irish MMA and for the domestic scene here, to get that bit of fucking buzz about it and start, there's so many fighters now that are breaking through that not everyone's going to be able to get on the big shows immediately out the gate. And what you had here, you had two lads who a combined 17 fights unbeaten, 2-0 versus 3-0. Both of them, Grozav had already fought both on Cage Warriors and abroad in LFL. Brady, I think was his debut, might have been his pro debut on the Dublin show in Cage Warriors. He had a great win there. Neither of them had lost since, I think, May or April 2022. So you're talking, close to 3 years unbeaten. And I thought it was a fucking phenomenal fight. Like, they were so evenly matched, and you had not only did you have two certified prospects and 2 finishers going head to head, but then the fight itself delivered. So we kind of were, theorizing, geez, this would be brilliant if this happened. But then you actually see it play out. And as Caoilte laid out there, you had all these big moments in the fight where there's the triangle early doors in the first, he escapes. Then Brady has his moment, and then there's the kind of the debate. Did Brady swing that round back? You get out there, and then Grozav had that huge, big slam, impactful throw, and then it's back and forth, scrambles. They both looked like they were capable of finishing the fight at either time. And where I came out of it was just thinking, this is fucking brilliant. But also, it needs to be said and highlighted, because it's very easy for us to call for these type of fights, and then ultimately you've got 2 Irish guys or Irish trained guys going against each other, and one of them has to lose. But that's not a fucking loss that'll hurt Gheorghe Grozav. Gheorghe Grozav is still a phenomenal fighter, and Brady was better on the night. And perhaps Brady's the better fighter, but we don't know that, long term. But on that night he was, and he rightfully won that fight. And I think the 2 lads have incredibly bright futures. But I just think, as you said there, like, this is the start, I think, of some really high quality domestic pro showdowns, and we'll talk later on about cage conflict and titles coming in, and this could be the start of a movement towards a really thriving Irish scene where you have pro titles, where you have lads that aren't afraid to go up against each other, because it's not going to affect them really. It's not going to be disadvantage. It's not going to hurt them in the long run. This will be the making of Gheorghe Grozav, and of course, Brady, what a fucking performance. Like, incredible. He has looked so good and continues to be flying high over the past while, and the dancing to top it all off.
He took it out of me.
It's just brilliant.
He's got the moves like Jagger as well after the fight. It was class. But to kind of piggyback off what you said, Andy, is like the words of Red Sir Paul Redmond, I often remember hearing him saying, is that records are for DJs. You know what I mean? And I think maybe there's a lot of focus on maybe not wanting to take too many risks in the early stages of your professional career, because you don't want an early loss on your record. But taking those kind of fights and challenging yourself, even if it does mean that you take a loss earlier in your career, that's going to help you so much as you move along your professional career. You look at someone like Nathan Kelly, lost his first couple of professional fights, then went on a savage run. You know what I mean? Just know that you're giving yourself those tests. Like, sometimes you might go in and you might bulldoze a guy, or you might just run over a guy. It's great to get the win. It's great to get the in-cage experience, but what are you truly gaining from a fight like that? This is the epitome of what needs to happen on the domestic scene. And you have to give credit to the 2 guys, like you said, Annie, and to Iúr, for putting this fight together, the cage conflict and to Clan War, all of these fight cards. This is the way to do it. This is the blueprint to try and, bring the level of mixed martial arts to the next level in Irish mixed martial arts. I don't know. I kind of butchered what I was saying there, but
it'll raise the
level.
Standard for everyone.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're saying there. Yeah.
And these fights are super important to be able to do that. So, all in the credit in the world to Brady here. Like you said, over and back. I'm so impressed at how in tune of himself he is, and he seems like, without having spoken to him, I remember an interview that you did, I think it was after the Cage Warriors fight with him as well, where, he's almost kind of surprising himself in there with what he's capable of doing, and he's unlocking this level of confidence and this self-belief, and this fight will kind of send him to the next level, and it's very exciting to see. I mean, I was really impressed, because Grozav is no easy guy to get out of there, and to do it the way Brady did it was, I think, it was unreal to get the rear naked choke. So all credit in the world to him, and bright future for both of these guys. Unfortunately, like you said, someone has to be on the losing end, but Grozav is going to learn from that, and I'm excited to see his next one as well. Moving on to the next fight, Aaron McDonald versus Jake Gilpin. A much needed win here for Aaron McDonald, who went and won a unanimous decision, Andy, 30-27 on all 3 judges' scorecards. Went out there and got the job done. Didn't mess around. took the fight down, dominated, got the win, and a much needed win for two. It hasn't been the best start. Talking about going out there and taking difficult fights in the early stages of your career. That's exactly what Aaron McDonald did. And, he's got his first win of his professional career against Jake as well. So, or second win. Second win.
And there'll be no disrespect from me here on the L triangle, because Paul Brown, I thought Paul Brown was going to catch a left hook there at one point. He was not happy with the disrespect shown after. Obviously joking around a bit, but no, fair play to him. It was a professional performance. It was a clear kind of striker versus grappler matchup is kind of how it was playing out. And Aaron said, "Fuck this! I'm going to take you down and lay on you and throw some strikes from top position." And he did it for 3 rounds, and it worked. And he acknowledged that himself, and fair play. So yeah, he's obviously had a. I suppose in a way getting good experience over in the Octagon Challenge, but the record hasn't been the greatest. But he's on the rise now. 2-3, I believe. Onwards and upwards for Aaron McDonald.
Yeah, indeed. He had that run in Octagon as well. I think he made the wise move here and coming back and taking a fight like this and just kind of getting in there, getting some of that cage time as well. Any quick thoughts on that one, Caoilte?
No, he said after the fight he wants to active 5. I think it was 5 fights he mentioned he wants to have this year. And his Octagon contract's out in May. So if he's able to fight in the region scene and then get a few more in by the end of the year, it'd be great to see and see how he kind of progresses over that time, because maybe he had a bit of stop-start with Octagon,
100%. Yeah. Talk to me about Lewis Byrne versus Alex McCook. Obviously, both guys, early stages of their careers. Well, I thought Lewis Byrne looked fantastic here, Caoilte. What about you?
Yeah, boxing was incredible. That first flurry that he threw just hurt him, and that was kind of
set the tone for the rest of the fight. Like, that was it. It was almost the beginning and the end. It was
all 30 seconds of the fight.
Yeah, it was like that was it. Like, it was put McCook on the back foot straight away, and that was it. Just went for the kill. It was crazy.
Yeah, the killer instinct just to go for the finish. Went in with the second flurry, and that's all she wrote. Like, I think going into it, I would have considered Lewis Byrne maybe a level above anyway, by looking at records and seeing how Lewis was as an amateur and now progressing to pro. But yeah, it's another win in the rec for him, and a quick run out for him. Looked really, really sharp, the hands. So yeah, it'd be hopefully see him up next. It'd be cool to see him on Cage Warriors. But
I was actually going to ask Andy that, actually, just running through those pro fights, wins for Lewis Byrne, Aaron McDonald, and obviously Ciaran Brady as well. I mean, setting themselves up nicely maybe for a slot on that Cage Warriors card in April. What do you think? Would it be too soon? Do you think one of these guys should get another stab at it? I know Ciaran has been there already, so...
Yeah, no, definitely not. I wouldn't say too soon for any of them. What's coming to mind is about...
too soon in terms of the quick turnaround after.
Right.
In terms,
well, yeah, even that though, I guess where my head was going immediately is there's about 1,000 Irish fighters on this Cage Warriors Dublin, which goes to show how thriving this was, that the scene is, and there's so many. We talked about
48 fight cards.
There's this like wave of fighters that have kind of broken onto the professional scene, that have left their amateur tenures behind them. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. Lewis, I was very, very impressed by this. Experience. I was just thinking this when I was watching Lewis Byrne. It's the likes of, you think back to like a Ciaran Clark, where had a load of tough fights at amateur, didn't have the greatest of records at amateur, but then it just served him so well as a pro. And I feel like that's what we're starting to see. Like, I feel like Lewis Byrne really, at the end of his amateur run, found his sweet spot where things were starting to click for him. And now we're just seeing this dangerous, as he said in the post-fight interview, he'll blow the doors off a lad in less than a minute if you put him in front of him. And the elbow that he landed, because obviously he kind of hurt McCook early. McCook went for the single leg, but it was as he kind of framed off, didn't frame off, as they broke, he landed that flush elbow off the break, and that was it. So I would love to see him get an opportunity. We're getting a lot of Irish on Irish fights on this Cage Warriors card. So I don't know, maybe there's a featherweight out there that we could put him against, or even, do you know what? Could you do? I know Brady's bantamweight. Could you do Brady versus Do maybe a catchweight, do Brady versus Byrne on the Cage Warriors card, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. Keep the ball rolling, because it seems to be, and it's smart by Cage Warriors. It's pretty much all Irish on the card. There's loads of, obviously mostly fighting against other nationalities or from different gyms or whatever. But like, from a ticket selling perspective,
they'll always throw one or two Irish versus Irish, or even if they're over in Italy, they might get an Italian versus an Italian. Yeah. I think it's good to do as well. Kind of sparks a little bit of interest. But let's talk about some of the amateur action on the Iúr. We won't go through everything, obviously, but there's a couple. Obviously, one of kind of say Shea Cleland's fight was cancelled due to weight issues. He was supposed to take on Ethan Sharkley. Obviously, that didn't happen, which is unfortunate. Always looking forward to seeing Shea in action as well. But I'm sure he'll be fighting again pretty soon. Jake Nye against Morgan Hines. Really good fight, this one. I really enjoyed this. Really close fight between both of these guys. I think you could arguably give Hines maybe round one. Could have went either way. Round two as well. It was strong around for Hines. Jake Nye really poured it on in round 3, and it was the most dominant round of the fight. Hurt him on the feet. Was dominant in the grappling exchanges, and Jake Nye took the fight 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27. I had a 29-28 to Jake Nye as well. I think it was the round 1 was pretty close, so I think I gave round 1 and round 3 to Jake, and round 2 to Hines. Did you guys get to catch that? What were your thoughts?
I caught it fleetingly. I think I was on the way back in the airport at the time. But look, from what I saw, he looked good. Jake Nye looked very good. Grappling, as always, is just, he just shines on the ground. But his striking's improving quite a bit as well. We saw that as well. That work that he's doing down in CMAC is really paying off. Close fight. Morgan Hines is very good.
Very good.
Yeah. So it kind of caught me off guard because I hadn't seen much of him, but really
did
impressed.
He take the fight at short notice as well, lads? I think
he did. I think
he did. Yeah. And so, when you take that was a really impressive performance on short notice as well. So I think all credit to Morgan there as well. And Jake is a really tough fighter, and especially coming in at short notice, he's not an easy puzzle to figure out. And Jake almost had a buggy choke in round 1, I believe, and it was. I was really like that fight too, and two top guys, and that will definitely be. Obviously, we talked about Jake a couple of times here on the podcast. We'll definitely be talking about Morgan a few times. Definitely going in based off that performance, and I'd like to see him coming in against a guy in a full camp next time too. So, really good stuff all around. Kevin Caoilte defeated James Slavin versus third round TKO. Really good performance here from Kevin Caoilte as well. Did you guys get to catch this one?
Yeah, really solid performance. Ultimately, so this one, I guess the main talking point around this one was the fact that it was a standing TKO that Def Larkin, referee Dec Larkin. He stepped. What? Def Larkin sounds like a rapper or something. Def Larkin, or maybe an audibly. What's the word? Someone who can't hear, audibly impaired. How do you say that? Audibly impaired?
I think
I've gone off on a real tangent here. Def Larkin. Imagine that it's some lad up the road who just can't hear very well. Geez, Def Larkin up the road there.
Yeah, Def Larkin, yeah.
Right. Anyway, this has gone on too long. He stepped in and he called a halt to the action to protect the fighter. And I especially at amateur, I really, really like seeing this. The doctor had already come in earlier in the fight to check on James Slavin. But I think it's very important, especially at amateur, when not that it doesn't matter, but it's not going to go against your record. You're better off being safe than sorry here. A great performance by Kevin Caoilte. I believe this is a rematch. I'm sure it'll probably be a tough one to take for James Slavin. It was a fight I was definitely looking forward to seeing, two evenly matched guys. But ultimately, Kevin Caoilte just poured it on, and it was the volume and the volume and the volume, and he was finding a home for his shots, and a really solid win, a third round TKO, standing TKO, a really solid win for the Team Rhino Waterford charge.
Yeah, I'll stick with you, Andy, for Alex Fagan versus Alex Fagan, who was defeated Russ Gheorghe. I know this one was one that you were looking forward to, and you wanted to speak about a little bit. First round TKO again, a really, really nice finish here.
Really nice finish, and like Russ Gheorghe, was it last year? I feel like we haven't seen him in a while, but I think it was last year. He kind of blitzed on to the scene where it was kind of like, well, who is this new lad that is kind of taking charge of the amateur scene? He was finishing everyone, submitting everyone, and then he had that fight against what was his name? Paul. Apologies, I'm forgetting his name. Paul from SBG Nace. Fitzgerald. And it was a much closer affair. So I was interested to see how he looked in here, and it was like a fight in a phone booth for as long as it lasted. Like the two lads were swinging, because Aiden, Fagan's been not Aiden. I'm getting the names fucking all wrong here. I'm gonna tell you who. Sorry,
Alex Fagan.
Help me out. Alex Fagan. Apologies.
You're mixing up with Aiden Fagan or whatever.
There's Aiden Fagan from SBG Ireland. This is Alex Fagan from SBG Charleston. Apologies, Alex.
He's only back from his holidays, lads.
I can't fucking speak here.
He's still over in Sri Lanka or fucking Guatemala, wherever he was.
The lads went to war. They went to battle in the clinch, and it seemed like they were having great crack doing it. But it just seemed like Alex Fagan just looked a little bit more composed and comfortable. I know they were talking about Russ Gheorghe going over and training in Thailand and working on striking, and it was clear he was willing to test it out in the cage here. But Alex Fagan just had that level of comfort where he was kind of picking the shots a bit better. And once he stepped back and threw that left hand, that was all she wrote. An absolutely a peach of a shot that put Russ Gheorghe down. No one's ever beaten him before. No one's ever stopped him before. And you could tell by Gheorghe's body language, he was like, yeah, no, that's
not too many people would be taking shots like that. I tell you, it was a ferocious left hook.
Yeah, and a good stoppage. And it was, everything about it looked clean. You have I love seeing, it's just, it looks cool when you catch a shot like that, and then you don't even need to follow up with any shots. It's like, no, my work is done.
Quitter, as they say.
Yeah,
isn't it?
good stoppage by the ref as well.
Yeah,
beautiful
brilliant
performance.
Last time I said over to you, and you mentioned this. Obviously, Chloe Crozier defeated Sarah Elliott Sheridan Caoilte, and you kind of highlighted that win and said she's becoming quite the problem on the scene now, and it's another good win. Sarah Elliott Sheridan is not an easy person to get a win over as well. It was a good, tough fight between the two women, and it was finished by a third round submission via armbar. Really, really good win there against a good opposition for Chloe, wasn't it, Caoilte?
Yeah, she's on a tear at the moment on the scene. I think. What's that? That's the third one to bounce 2 armbars in a row now, and that's Sarah Elliott Sheridan's tough opposition, and it was a good fight, and Chloe was she just kind of you can see her improving every single fight now, and that's another big win. I'd love to see the rematch with Kai O'Sullivan at some point. I think that one was meant to be on the last or 13, but because like the two of them now are at different levels, and if Kaya plans on staying, I'd love to see that fight. But Chloe Crozier, she's really becoming a problem on the scene, and it's just leveling up with every fight. Brilliant. Her jiu-jitsu is really, really, really good, and you see it in that fight as well, especially with the submissions. Another armbar win for her.
Yeah, a rematch too, right? Like that was, she was avenging a previous loss.
There's not too much competition out there, which is unfortunate as well. So but fair play to them getting back in there, competing against each other, and I know Sarah Elliott Sheridan had a tough time getting some matchups last year, so I'm sure she'll be eager for some more activity and to get back in there and to get back into the win column as well. Just want to reiterate, I guess, after that, Dec Larkin is not deaf. He can see and he can hear very well, and he's an excellent official.
Well, clearly he is, because he did such a great job refereeing.
Someone who can hear and see very well also is Paul Buckley, who went out there and got a great win in the Arabian Fight League.
You don't know that he can see or hear very well.
Based off this performance, I think he saw a lot of stuff. He was fainting.
Just for the record, I mean,
Yeah, I ain't no doctor, so I'll put it to you that way.
Big John Mitchell. Large John Mitchell.
But Bandy is truly back, derailing us left, right, and centre. I love it. Only joking, of course. But no, it's a great win over there. I really like patient performance, through lots of feints, Caoilte. Utilised his boxing. Then, when he felt the time was right, took the fight down, dominated the first round, went out there then and got the submission in round 2. It was a very, very good performance from the Cork man.
Yeah, he was very patient, as you said. Like that first round, I thought he was kind of just trying to find his feet again because it's been so long and he was kind of getting used to it. And the fella he was up against was very he was an awkward owl lad, the fella he was against. And but you see Paul growing into the fight, especially in that second round. He looked so much more fluid. He threw a lovely spinning back kick at one point as well. He's styling in there a little bit. And, he kind of moved his head and dodged a head kick. And then he's just kind of was looking over to the left. But yeah, he's brilliant then for the finish, defend the takedown, got into side control again. He had the grappling over your man, and then your man rolled. Paul took his back, rear naked choke, and that's all she wrote. But he really grew into the fight. Feints, as you mentioned, were brilliant, and he looks like he's reaching a different level, training over there with all the lads in Dubai, isn't it?
Yeah, he really is, Andy. And what I'm impressed about is that I think he had this fight in the palm of his hand, and he made this decision, and when he wanted to turn up the gears and get the win as well, and that's what he did in round 2. But we're seeing a level of well-roundedness there from Paul. We're seeing a level of patience and calmness that you need in the professional ranks as well. Which is very impressive considering, he's only a few fights into his professional career as well. He's ticking off a lot of boxes, as Paul.
Yeah, the patience and the comfort level in the cage is what stood out to me. Like it looked to me like he was in control the entire time, and also that he was kind of feeling some things out in there. It's like as a question, we saw him throwing some high performance moves, as commentator Jer Harris would call them, with the spinning back kicks and a few other shots he was throwing. Like it just seemed like he was testing some of his skills out. I think he probably knew that he was a step ahead of Waba, I believe was the name of his opponent. I think he was a one name opponent, a bit like Seal. So yeah, I don't know who. I still haven't figured out who he fought, but I think his name was Waba. But I thought he looked great in there, and I think that the fight IQ showed that he started to tee off on his opponent a bit. But as soon as there was any sort of danger, and I wouldn't even say danger, but as soon as any kind of shot was landing on the feet, he decided, fuck this, I'm going to level change, take him down, and smash him. And to be honest, I thought it could have been stopped in the first round. I thought he was landing a lot of shots, a lot of unanswered shots, and fair. It wasn't overly egregious or anything, but I think his opponent was saved
by the bell, though.
He was lucky to see the bell, and then obviously got the job done fairly shortly after in the second. But very solid, and you could tell, but the difference in body language with Paul standing up and fresh, ready to go, and his opponent kind of. He didn't look like he was having a great time in between rounds there, and it was all very good. The beginning and the end.
We're talking about this May 10th card up in Belfast. I mean, I wouldn't be too upset if we saw Paul Buckley get a shot there against maybe another prospect similar enough record as well. And
I loved hearing that he was talking 5-6 fights he wants this year. Yeah. I think that'd be brilliant for him.
It would. I mean, obviously, he could have ice on the Cage Warriors cards. There's a few options coming up here. Obviously, like being over in Dubai, there'll be some action over there, perhaps on a couple of cards as well. But yeah, activity is going to be key for him at the early stages of his professional career.
If he's following in John Mitchell's footsteps, he'll be out in India or somewhere. It's fucking mad random fighting.
Should be calling him.
This one was Egypt or something, wasn't it?
This was Alexandria, or was it Cairo or Alexandria? I think it was in Egypt. Yeah.
Those lads are a nightmare on Instagram trying to figure out how to watch this fight. I'm glad we got to see it in the end, to be honest.
Tell that story, actually. You messaged him, didn't you?
I messaged them asking. So for beforehand, for fights like this, they're usually a nightmare to get a stream. So I wanted to watch it naturally because there was nothing being promoted, and I just replied to a story. How can we watch? One word answer. Come. Just, I was like, yeah. I'll fly over there from Limerick and just pop over to Cairo there in the next few hours. And I was like, a bit difficult for Irish fans, whatever, pay-per-view next time. And all I got back was inshallah. And I was like, fair enough, whatever. We got to watch it in the end, but like, we're all together.
At least they put it up. At least we can say they put it up on YouTube after the fact anyway. Let's move over to Cage on the beach. There was no sunglasses, there was no sun cream, no sunbeds, but there was 2 wins for Team KF's, Omar Tugarev and Omar Shaban. Andy, I think we moved you to Team Stevenson guys here. They picked up good wins. I want to say 2 Team Stevenson guys. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they are. Good wins for both of them. I believe this was over in Finland. Tugarev with a second round TKO, Omar and Shaban with a first round submission. 2 straightforward wins, but important wins, and keeping up a good momentum in their careers as well. Take us through 2 of those fights. And, I think it was very impressive. Look at you, beat who was in front of you. I think, both of the guys were, Omar and Omran, in my opinion, were a class above both of their opponents coming in here. But, they went out there and got the job done as they should have. And it was very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we will take Omar Tugarev. He's technically not Team Stevenson, but now that you've said it, I think that counts. So Omar Tugarev, what a performance. I mean, this guy is a killer. We've seen him just blitz through opponents. His last fight, obviously, he had to come through most of his opponents he's blitzed through. His last fight, his last opponent was a lot tougher. But yeah, I mean, this was a textbook Omar Tugarev performance where he went in, he dominated in the grappling. Heavy pressure in the grappling from top, and then kind of opened up towards the end of the round, landing a good few shots. A very dominant first round. The second round, he got a takedown very quickly and got to the crucifix position, if I remember correctly. And I wrote it down. I counted 37 unanswered shots in the crucifix. Now they're not.
You love counting unanswered shots. Don't
I kind of enjoyed it.
You're like a black belt in it.
So because here's the reality. Now, unless it's a really, really bad one, if you're landing 37, and I say this as someone who's not a fighter, if you're landing 37 unanswered shots, if they're really heavy concussive blows, whether the ref stops it or not, the fight will be done. So it's, in fairness to the referee, they weren't like big thunderous blows, but still it's 37 unanswered shots.
Yeah, you have to be intelligent. What the rule says that you have to be intelligently defending yourself, and 37 shots deep.
You're not. And you're in a crucifix position as well. So how are you supposed to be able to? Yeah. So like, 100%. I think it could have been stopped while in the crucifix, but look, it didn't. It wasn't stopped. He did what he had to do. Transition to the mount, landed a heap of elbows and punches, and that was it. So it was pure domination by Omar, who I think that is now 7-0 in the space of less than 13 months. I think it was both February 2024 to February 2025. That is, I feel like almost an unheard of clip of activity at the pro level. So it'll be very interesting to see. I mean, it's 7-0 record now. If he can get, maybe at this rate, he'll probably have another 2 fights by the next time we're recording, no doubt. But you're talking about an undefeated finisher who could be looking at Dana White's Contender Series. Like, I don't think that's a crazy shout.
No, he's a prime candidate for that, Andy, for sure. Sure he is, yeah. Undefeated, finishing fights, young, ticking off all the boxes there. It's exactly what the UFC matchmakers are looking for right now,
Yeah, can grapple, can strike.
Yeah, 1 or 2 more wins. You think if he's fighting at the rate that he's fighting at right now, if he can get, let's say, they will probably start bringing guys in maybe start matching in June for the Dana White's Contender Series. You have a chance to go out there, get maybe another win, another 2 wins. Then you're up to 9-0. I think he's a perfect candidate for the Contender Series, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's well within his rights to be calling for that. And I'm sure Chris Fields and the lads over KF will be pushing for that. And Omran Shaban also this was light work for Omran Shaban. Like, just to be completely blunt, it was domination. Your man came out swinging with some overhands early. Omran just handily dealt with it. the guy, I think, went for a takedown, Armour, and reversed. And from there, it was just a case of being patient. And once he even had a scent of that dart, we've seen him with the darts and the anacondas before, and it was just, it was. I don't mean, I'm trying not to be disrespectful, and I don't want to disrespect the skill and stuff that it takes from Armour, but like it looked like child's play out there. It looked like he was just levels above.
Showing levels there. I mean, it can happen. Two of them have similar records, same amount of fights, but who you go in there against and how you do that, it told that Armour has a much higher level due to who he's been in. You're coming off the Ultimate Fighter house,
he's ready. To be honest, he's ready for that level. I think
100%. It needs to be it needs to be that level and higher going forward here.
And it's the same with we saw Paddy McCarry's performance after, because that was Armour's first performance after the Ultimate Fighter. The same way we saw Paddy McCarry going in and blowing the doors off that lad relatively recently. Like they're ready. The two of them are ready, in my opinion. UFC right now.
For sure. Talking about another guy who's ready, in my opinion, and a guy who's coming out of Team KF as well, Caoilte, I'll go over to you. Team Caoilte, remember, Dom Norcus, unbelievable. Another win, first round submission against Khalid Tarif, taking the fight at UAE Warriors on short notice. And I mean, fighting at welterweight here, just, I don't know. I'm almost so excited about Dominic Norcus that I can't even put into words like how impressed I am with every time I see him going in there, taking fights at short notice. Look, I know I said I'd ask you, but I have to get this out right. Everything that I love in a fighter is everything that Dom Norcus has. A guy who takes chances, a guy who fights on the front foot, and is an absolute predator in there. If there is a finish available, he is going to find it. And this was the epitome of the performance that we've seen from him in past performances, all first round finishes. Another one here. I mean, Dom Norcus is this going to be a huge year for him. He is an unbelievable prospect and a finisher. Unbelievable. I can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah, I can't help but agree. There's a reason he's on Team Caoilte for the draft, It's been it's been a good few weeks, I was catching a few strays with my team. And now look at it, we're flying high. We get into another few of the members as well that were doing well, but Dom Norcus, he really set the tone for it with that fight and that win. He's, he came into this week notice. I'd love to say off the couch, but you know what I mean. He's coming in at welterweight, obviously keeping fit. I imagine, he didn't have a full fight camp, and he made it look so easy. It was so smooth, the entire performance, and you saw every different kind of aspect of his game. You got to see his striking, his grappling. The lad who he was against, they said was more of a Thai boxer, he made that guy uncomfortable, instantly getting him down to the ground and just grinding on him, trying to get the finish.
Like I said before we started the podcast here, Caoilte, like he broke him within 3 minutes. That guy wanted nothing to do with Dom. He immediately went up there, closed the distance, got the fight down. Which showcase also on top of everything else that I mentioned before I sent it over to you. Excellent fight IQ and an ability to follow a game plan too. Obviously, Chris and Tom like very good strategizers going in there and game planning for their fighters. But it's easy to game plan, but you have to be able to follow that game plan too. And for such a young guy, he's like, I used the term once before. The world as well. Yeah, man, it's so impressive, Andy, isn't it?
Yeah, he's class. Like, he's just so fun to watch. And I don't know, there's something about him. He just has a little touch of the psycho about him, and that's
he loves it. Like he
just has a touch of the psycho about him. And I love, exactly. And I don't know, he's just, and he's been this way since like the amateur, since his amateur run as well. I remember, I just anytime I think of him, I just think of like being introduced to him, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this lad's doing his leave insert next week," and I'm like, "That the guy who just beat the living shit out of someone in a cage just there is doing his leave insert now." Okay, fair enough. He's class, and this, I think everything that you can say about, I know he hasn't been fighting as frequently lately, which is kind of crazy because he's still fighting very frequently. Everything we said about Omar Tugarev, it applies to Dom Norcus in that regard too. It seems like there's a race in Team KF at the moment for who can get the most, the longest undefeated record as quickly as possible. It seems between the two lads there.
Yeah, definitely a race to 10 now as well and truly on for all the guys there. But yeah, look, I mean, great time for Team KF as well. Like got a lot of their fighters performing very, very well, and obviously the guys we just mentioned there previously of leading the charge at Team KF there. So kudos to them, and I just like I can't wait. Like I just want to say again, like Dom Norcus energizes the fuck out of me every time I see him fight. Like he just has that ability. Like I'm walking laps around the house. I have to fucking have a drink of water after. I have to cool myself down and pat myself on the forehead. I just can't. I can't say enough good things about him. What a man!
I'd love to see Olivia's reaction.
I need to record. I need to record. Like I know we have to kind of stay professional and stuff like that when we're on podcasts. But I'd be lying if I said anything a little bit excited watching Irish fights.
How can you not?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's great. Like, you just want all Irish fighters to be doing well. But boy, Jesus, guys, like I'm like, it's unbelievable. It's so energizing, and it's great. Long may it last. Long may it last.
But that word you use though, predator. It's a very apt word.
A predator with a killer instinct as well. Like that, just that battle cry after he got the finish as well. It's like he unleashes a beast every time he steps in there. He likes to do. He likes to mess around with light posts and stuff like that. Whatever he does outside the cage, that's his business. If that's what he needs to do,
I don't think he's ever been mentioned without the that coming up. Like the boy,
if that's what he needs to do, maybe he needs to go and fiddle a light post or something like that, or whatever he needs to do. But whatever he does is working. Stay doing. Doesn't matter what he's doing outside.
Strictly traffic lights.
Whatever he's doing outside the cage, anyway, is definitely working when he goes inside the cage. So I'm only joking with Dom, but yeah, unbelievable stuff. Caoilte, I'm going to send it over to you because speaking about unbelievable stuff, Team Ireland, youths level, junior and senior level, had an unbelievable tournament at the Euros last weekend as well, and took home multiple medals, multiple gold medals as well, standout performers. We'll let you go through it and pick out some of your standout performers, and we'll chat a little bit about it after.
Yeah, look, there's so much to go through here, and like watching the IMMAFs, I kind of dip in and out when I'm watching because it's a grind. There's so many fights, and it just becomes a blur. But wow, like Ireland had such a good week across youth and junior and senior. Like at youth, I think I have to start with them. They're the ever performing team. They always come out with medals, and they always come out with a load of them. Like you can always expect them to be in the top 5, and in this case, they came third in the overall medal table across the youth categories. So there's youth, I think it's youth A, B, C, and D. So absolutely fantastic. And they came out with a total of 15 medals in the youths, only behind Ukraine and England. The performances were brilliant. The work that goes into the youths is phenomenal. Like there's a lot of credit has to go to all those involved. Danny McCormick, very heavily involved with it. She's I couldn't believe it. She's like Superwoman going over there. She's taking care of all these. Danny McCormick,
that child is definitely fitter than I am at this current moment. Anyway, and all the running that she's doing, it's fantastic to see. She's some woman boy to stay going and go over there, and just
she's running the streets of Belgrade, like and coaching kids, so and like, my God, like to do all that as well, like it's incredible. And her and all the team, they do great work, and the kids, they're such high level. Like there's people over there that were messaging me saying that, like how good they were and ones to watch and everything. It was so it's brilliant to see, and the future's really bright for Irish MMA, and I guess and they are the future, so it's good to see that and good to see them getting medals. As for the juniors and seniors, look, there's I think 8 medals across both. Ireland came second, I believe it is. Yes, second in the overall medal table. 4 gold medals and 4 bronze. Some huge performances across the board here. The ones that highlight Alex Keogh who got gold in the super lightweight division. Fiona O'Rourke gold as well in the super middleweight division. Then you Caio O'Sullivan at flyweight, and then you had Senan Coakley at super middleweight, which is 195 pounds. This guy was fighting at 170 pounds in his last fight, I believe it was. And some brilliant performances. Caio O'Sullivan a level above the rest. I think after the first fight, I kind of had predicted she was going to take gold. Senan Coakley probably he surprised me the most, considering how heavy he was going. Do you know, the competition, they're big boys he was going in against, and I didn't know how he'd fare at 195. He was a breath of fresh air in the competition. As I said, those fights become a blur, and you look forward to guys like him after so many fights, because I do love grappling. I love watching it, but sometimes it does become a blur seeing the same fights again and again, the same style. And he comes out with this really elusive striking that's so good to watch, and then runs through lads. He was brilliant. Don't think he lost a round for the entire tournament. And that was a massive, massive win for him across three wins in 3 days. Showed a bit of the grappling, showed a lot of good striking, brilliant performance. And then I think Alex Keogh, he's proven that he's proven again and again why he's so hyped, how good he is, and how much of a problem that he is really going to be when he turns pro, and how much of a problem he is at amateur. Phenomenal. Those are kind of, it's like Kai, Alex, and Senan really stood out from the ones I watched. I didn't get to see, admittedly, did not get to see much of Fionn, but brilliant to get a gold medal. Overall, massive week for Ireland over there.
Yeah, 100%. There was a bronze for Jordan Scully as well, was there?
There was, yeah. He, I feel, he was defending that European champion kind of status that he had from the previous year, and it's tough. I think he only ever loses to people who go on to win gold. So he's been, he's a stalwart. Those competitions, probably one to beat for everyone who looks at the bracket. He performed brilliant, but he fell short in the semis. But bronze for him, and I guess I'll mention the bronze here. Well, I have him. Caleb Leach also got bronze. Henry Leka, who was brilliant throughout, and Abdul Malik Zubarayev. He lost to Alex in the semi-finals of the junior super lightweight. So he had an All-Ireland clash there in that one.
I mean, piggybacking off of all that, sorry, Andy, if you would like to go ahead, I was just going to mention Caio O'Sullivan, just how impressed. Like Senan and Caio are just really two standouts from Team Ireland going over there. Senan obviously, going up a weight class, showing how much he's maturing. It's in the amateur game, you're trying to figure out your style, you're trying to meld everything together, and I think this tournament for Senan really showed what the work he has been doing behind the scenes and melding everything together. Obviously, an excellent striker. Now bringing in his grappling too. You don't have to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. For Senan, all you need to do is being able to get up if you get taken down or not get taken down. And I think, he's going to be in there and he'll be able to match against a lot of people at his weight class. And Caio O'Sullivan, just ceases to amaze me. She has just unlocked this killer instinct in her game over the last couple of years as well. Obviously, we were there, Caoilte, when we saw her knock out Carolina Arm. She's not a couple of more ferocious knockouts here. She's not just winning fights; she's absolutely obliterating opponents. And we've talked a lot, Andy, about Caio O'Sullivan, but I don't ever like to get too far in my head, but I can't help, and every time I see her fight is just thinking with Caio, it's straight to the top. Really, she has all of the abilities and the skills to get straight to the top, no matter where she goes. And it'll be very interesting to see if she does turn pro this year, and it's definitely not too far away.
That's everything that's been going through as you've been talking there. I think now is the time. Saying that from the outside looking in, obviously, and I'm sure she's no better person than her brother who's been with her and her mom as well the entire way up. But so they'll know best when it is truly time. But I feel like there's nothing left for her really at amateur. I feel like she's just, as you said, she's ready. And when she does turn pro, she's going to obliterate some opponents early on, and I think it'll be it's hard to. They don't seem to have women go through the Contender Series a whole lot, right? But I mean, I
think it might be even like for Contender Series with Kai, I'd say, and it's going to be hard. It'll be interesting to see, because how are they going to match her? Who's going to want to go in there against someone like Kai O'Sullivan in the early stages? It's going to be, that's one problem I feel that she is going to have, and maybe, she might have the problem where she might have to fight up a little bit. I'm not saying that, it'll be a problem whereas that other fighters, you transition through skill sets and levels of fighters, I guess, as you're building your record. But I feel she could be in trouble. But maybe you're not wrong. I mean, if she picked up 4 or 5 wins, I think Contender Series this year might be a little bit too soon, but maybe next year.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. No, I'm very much getting ahead of myself here, but I just feel like I agree. I guess what I'm saying is I agree with you. I think that I absolutely see her getting to the top of the sport, and I think it's going to be very, very exciting. And it's a lot of pressure to put on someone who hasn't even turned. That's
why I hate talking about it. But fuck, man, it's hard not to. Like, I mean, when you see how good she is, like it's it's unbelievable to watch. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah. And just to, I suppose, to transition over to, you were talking about Senan there. What I've been really impressed by with Senan is he never shies away from the tough competition, and it kind of puts himself. He had some. I remember he hit a kind of a rough stretch of a couple of losses or whatever on the regional scene in Ireland, but it was against really tough guys and styles that are just difficult to deal with. And as you said, he's comes from a lineage of strikers through Dublin Combat Academy and within his own family, of course, his brother, the infamous Caoilte. But yeah, he's looking brilliant. And to be fair, the lads out in Dubai and working with, I think Aussie is his name, Aussie MMA. I can't remember his actual full name. I just know him as Aussie MMA. They seem to be doing great things out there, because John's flying high, Paul Buckley, Senan, they're whatever they're doing at the moment, it's working. And just I guess my final thoughts on it all, a brilliant achievement by Ireland to get second in the table. Obviously, there's a lot of tough competition. I think is that the highest position that they've gotten before, Caoilte over there? I don't know. Obviously, this is Europeans, not the world's, but I feel like it's usually you've Ukraine, Bahrain, and a few others.
I think it's usually. I think from the top of my head, it's the highest. You'd have to go. I think you would have to go as far, very, very far back to maybe see that matched for the Europeans. I think because the 4 goals, I do think they take it, because Ukraine usually are kind of top of that, but I can't think of another year. But so that probably could be one of them. Yeah, insane, brilliant performances overall.
100%. Talking about brilliant performances, lads. Henry Fadipe coming in at short notice at KSW 103, taking on Stephen Kurt, a really, really good guy in Stephen Kurt, and getting a good win there, and a well-deserved win, I believe, on the judges' scorecards as well. I only seen kind of snippets of this, didn't get to catch the full fight. But I think, Andy, with Henry, with Hercules, it seems to be a common trend where he takes these short notice fights and goes in and gets wins. Maybe he should do it more often.
And great to see him get back into it, because he had a couple I can't fucking speak today, lads. A couple of tough fights and tough losses. He was finished in his last 2 in KSW, but great to see him rebound here. He's a guy who, Graham McDonald talks about him all the time. He's been around the Irish scene for years and years and years, and a true veteran of Irish MMA. So it's brilliant to see him out there flying the flag in KSW and back in the win column against a tough guy, as you said. So fair play to Hercules.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of it. Looking back, and it's time to look forward now, I guess, with some of the upcoming action. And let's talk first, Caoilte, about the huge fight for Will Fleury coming up next weekend, obviously, at Octagon 68 over in Stuttgart in Germany. His chance to become a double champ at Octagon 68 against Lazar Todev. A tough guy here in Lazar Todev. Like, this guy is no joke, but I mean, Will has been riding the crest of a wave coming into this fight, picking up finishes, looking really good. And this is a real mouth-watering clash, this one, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him getting in there. And I heard there was no Spud safe in the country in the lead up to this one. He had to up his Spud game. Hopefully we didn't get the chance, obviously, time restraints and schedules. Unfortunately we would have liked to talk to him before the fight, but he'll go out, get the win. Hopefully he'll come on with us and have a chat after the win. But this is a good one, Caoilte. I'm really looking forward to this one. Dennis Frimpong on the card as well against Robin Frank, but Will Fleury is the big story of this fight card, and to see if he can become a double champ, already the light heavyweight champion, vying to become the heavyweight champion.
It's crazy, isn't it? What's happened in the space of less than 12 months for Will Fleury inside Octagon. It's crazy. Up to main eventing, looking for a title in the second division, 2-weight champ. After he won the light heavyweight title, there's talk of him maybe trying to go back down to middleweight and going down that route. I never thought of him going to heavyweight, and now it's the reality, and it's so close. It's going to be a very tough fight, but I think it's a fight he can win. It's hard to know what he's going to look like at a heavyweight, but I'd say must have been a drought of Spuds over in Tipperary there for the last few months, and him building up to this, because my God, the transformation that have to go through probably wouldn't be as drastic as it was, and he's going up to light heavyweight, but still, it's going to be quite a transition for him, and I'm very interested to see how he looks. But the storyline of Will Fleury in Octagon is just incredible, and I think that's the main thing here, kind of how he's turned everything around, and he's gone from being having a ban, and to on the brink of becoming a 2-weight champion in a major organization, in these sellout, not even arenas, stadiums. It's incredible. I can't wait. It's going to be a spectacle. That's the best way to put it. As every Octagon show is, it's going to be a spectacle.
Yeah, definitely. After his last fight, Andy, obviously, he had lots of options, and we spoke to him about those options as well. And there was talks of middleweight, and there was talks of maybe other fights at light heavyweight. But I think the correct move for Will at this stage of his career was the move up, as opposed to moving back down to middleweight, because we've seen it, and other fighters do it when you're fluctuating in that weight, and especially when you're I think to get from light heavyweight down to middleweight for Will, it was going to take a lot out of him. I think he made the right move, basically, is what I'm trying to say, in moving up to challenge for the heavyweight title as opposed to moving down. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I think that to be honest, I think light heavyweight makes the most sense. But I think for this, he's raising the bar each time, and as Caoilte was saying, he's done all of this in the space of a year, not even a year in Octagon, where you're turning your career around after just not a great time in his career, where he had the ban, and now he's gotten the opportunity with Octagon, and not only has he delivered in the cage, but also he's commanded the respect and commanded the attention, and he's defined the narrative. So he's done everything at every angle to kind of create opportunities for himself, where he's going out and he's getting the finishes, but then they're not really, they probably didn't want him winning these fights. They probably didn't want him beating the hometown guys. That it's more difficult to market probably an Irish guy in these markets, whereas it's their bread and butter for the hometown fighters. And so he's forcing Octagon's hand to be like, okay, we'll give him the title, and we'll give him the title shot. We'll give him that big fight against Carlos Vermola. And now he's kind of raising the bar to the next level, say, here's the next fight I'll make for you. I'm going to go up and get that second belt. So I think that he's a chance to make history here. He's doing a brilliant, every turn that he's taken has been brilliant in Octagon. And I think that what I would like to see him is go up here and, let's see him, if he wins this belt, go back down to light heavyweight and defend that one then. Because I don't know if, maybe he'll find a home at heavyweight as well. Maybe you can do two, but I think that light heavyweight title I think you could see him reigning there for a while. And he's not a heavyweight. Let's be honest. I'm sure the spuds per day rate is drastically increased. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see him fight at heavyweight and he'll look right at home. But I think light heavyweight.
He's not going to be obviously a 265-pound heavyweight guy. He probably.
He'd be quick. He'd be quick.
That's what I was going. That's where I was getting at. I mean, if you're coming in there, maybe 220 or 225, you're going to have that speed there. But like I said, it's a tough test. I mean, it's not going to be. He's made all of his previous tests in Octagon look pretty easy, and if he comes out here and makes this look easy, it'll be massively impressive because I don't think Tadev is an easy guy to get out of there. So I'm very interested. I'm really looking forward to that fight now, and then we give a mention to Demis Frimpong as well. Obviously, made headlines with his old clash with Paddy Pimblett there in the lead up to this one, but he's coming in here, Caoilte, against another really difficult opponent here in Robin Frank, undefeated German guy who Dominic Orcus was supposed to fight before in a previous card, I believe, but he steps in the Octagon now, so I think it's a good test for Dennis as well, and to try and get a win, and if he does get a win, it'll be a good win for him too.
Yeah, Octagon, he's going in there against undefeated lad in German, undefeated German lad in Germany. Like, he's going to be really up against it to get with the crowd and everything. But I think he thrives off that type of stuff. So I'd say he's loving it. He's coming off 2 big wins in Octagon over Callum Mullen and Jan Soroki. So he's no stranger to, I guess, fighting some good records or fighting up nearly in terms of maybe experience. I think he might be a little bit more experienced, but this one is definitely going to be a lot different to what we saw his last fight that was on that progress check one. So I'm glad to see him actually competing at a high level again and not against what he was previously competing. But a win here could change a lot for him, and I imagine he could go on quite a trajectory inside Octagon with a win.
100%, yeah, very well said. Cage Conflict is coming up obviously on March 8 as well. It's going to be a busy March 8. We're going to have, I don't know, 2-3 screens. I don't know how we're going to do it, boys, but we'll do it as we always do. But this is a cracking card, Andy, and I'm going to send it over to you straight away because you might have had a little bit of a main factor in this main event between Brian Manning and Sean McCormack becoming a title fight. I know there was, we were talking behind the scenes. We were saying it probably should be. I know you might send a couple of messages there. I mean, are we flat out giving you credit for this becoming a title fight?
No. This is the people. The people have spoken. Listen, professional titles, professional domestic beef, bit of Irish on Irish violence. We have Brian Manning and Sean McCormack. Now, Brian Manning's been poking his finger in the chest of a couple of FAI fighters as of late. And to be honest, anyone that probably goes into his crosshairs, he's been poking Graham Sheehan, who's also on the card here, a bit as well. They were previously scheduled to fight. But was a message sent? Who knows? But ultimately, not only do we have a domestic showdown here, we've got a title fight. And I think this is brilliant. Everything we talked about, with George Grozav and Ciaran Brady, I think this is brilliant for Irish MMA. And I think we've got another middleweight fight on this card in Graham Sheehan and Mark Yakimowicz. I'm going to go with that.
I absolutely butchered that name too. Apologies.
But that's the number one title fight. That's the number one contender fight, as far as I'm concerned.
There's narratives being built here on the card, which is what you
need. Continuity.
Yeah,
and then, do you know what? Is there Paul Buckley? You're middleweight, aren't you? Paul Buckley's middleweight.
Yeah.
Or welterweight, middleweight. Senna Coakley. Anyone want to go pro? Challenge for a rematch? Come on.
Matchmaker extraordinaire, Andy Stevenson. A man of many talents.
I don't need thanks. It's fine.
Are you going up to present the belt to the winner?
I assume so. I think I'm actually going to be at a confirmation.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's like complete contrast on being up at a fight night.
I'd be yelling at my phone in the church.
I'd be getting the body of Christ there, and yeah, but Jesus. But no, it's a great card overall, Caoilte. I mean, look, we can rattle down through a couple of these fights here, and I'll let you do that as well. I mean, Nini Nababissett in action as well. We have Almas Oliver, Shea Cleland. Cage Conflict doing what Cage Conflict do here, and putting on a banging card. I can't wait to watch this far. What are some of the fights that stand out to you on the rest of the card? I know Andy has mentioned Graham Sheehan, who's in the co-main event middleweight fight too.
Yeah, it's a top card for it. Brilliant. The matchmaking from top to bottom is fantastic, and it's so hard. It's hard to actually pick the ones that stand out because they all do. But that Dominic Rhodes versus Blaine McGill is an absolute barn burner. I love that fight for the super lightweight amateur title fight. So good. I can't wait to watch that one. And then for the pros, I'm really intrigued at Graham Sheehan making his debut. He's a lad who's got 7 pro fights as well. I think Mark used to train in another gym in Northern Ireland, and now he's over in FAI from what I grasped.
Was he IFS or something before, was it?
That was it, yeah. So it looks like he's moved FAI to be interested to see how he looks now.
I think he's been a while in FAI, and they're not they ain't booking him to lose. This is a hometown show, so they have belief in him clearly.
I love that. Yeah, I love that, and it just adds a little bit of spice to it. And then you got the main event as well. But the 3 pro fights are just stand out to me. And that what all the the whole card does, but that particular amateur title fight that I mentioned, Dominic Rhodes and Blaine McGill, fantastic. And I think Kevin Walsh, who stepped in to fight Shea Cleland, fair play to him as well there, because I think they were struggling to find Shea Cleland an opponent. They put out the call out to get him an opponent after his fight initially fell through on that most recent Iúr card. So, it's fair play there, and that'll be a brilliant fight as well. So, overall, fantastic. Cage Conflict, just doing Cage Conflict things.
Yeah, I look forward to breaking down that card. Obviously, we'll do that in big detail in the next episode of the Old Triangle, but top card again.
Did we mention Nadine Ababissett, or am I just zoning out here?
Yeah, no, it's great to see Nadine. I kind of I threw her name out there, and it's great to see her back. Obviously, she's a mom now, obviously, and it's her first fight back since having a baby. So top prospect here. Very excited to see her back. It's a 50 kg catch weight too. So, I'm sure she's absolutely been chomping at the bit to get back, and I'm very excited to see her back in action as well. And a tough opponent too. I think Yelena Valentino, she has a good striking pedigree, Caoilte, you were saying as well. So it'll be an interesting stylistic catch up. Obviously, Nadine, a top grappler as well. So it'll be very interesting to see. It's great to see a good prospect coming back into the cage as well. Moving on, I've got to mention Dylan Logan. Obviously, his fight fell out. He's fighting at Raged UK as well on March 8th, and Raged was what he was on his Instagram story. When the first fight fell out, a rant for the ages. I mean that, Dylan, with all due respect, if you're listening. I understandably frustrated too when the guy's saying that he's injured and putting up Instagram stories, being basically on holiday. So I'm glad that Dylan has got an opponent there. He does get to fight for the lightweight title in the main event. Dylan has been through the ringer the last couple of years with injuries and everything like that. So, that frustration that he showed was well and truly deserved. And, Andy, it's good to see Dylan back. I know that you're kind of having you mentioned you were chatting to him a little bit about this fight as well.
Good to see him back. He's always chomping at the bit. I always remember he suffered a lot. I remember the way he handled the loss I think it was against maybe Harry Hardwick or someone like that on Bellator, and he showed up. I remember I think Jake Smith might have done an interview with him, but there was something, usually when lads lose, the last thing they want to do is chatting to media or whatever, but he showed up and was keen to get right back on the horse and not shy away from it. So I always respected that. Good to see him back. He's been out for a long time. So look, let's see how he looks. It's a long time to be off for, and fair play to him. He seems like he's been putting the head down and obviously working a full-time job on top of it, and has a young family as well. So good to see him back, and good to see that he actually got an opponent after that mishap. And it was pretty funny. I was watching the story. It was like, All right, this is the last video I'm making now, and then there's a couple more videos each time. It was, but understandably, I'd be pissed off too.
Yeah, for 100%. Let's talk about Andreas Binder. Obviously, there's a little bit of murmurs behind the scene, but since we've been last on, a happy man up in the top right there, team Stevenson, Andreas Binder. Maybe, I don't know, Caoilte, maybe there's an asterisk over this pick now in Team Stevenson, because I don't know. I think Andy might have been privy to a little bit of information before we made these picks here, and he's kind of facing his gesture now is kind of telling me that I might be onto something here now.
Research isn't research not allowed when you're
I don't
making
know.
educated
I don't know.
decisions
I
these
just
days.
keeping cards. So, but look at the announcement was made. SBG Charleston, Andreas Binder is on the next episode or next season of The Ultimate Fighter on the welterweight roster. Goes in there with a slew of talented guys there. We're going through them from everywhere, States, Brazil, and Mexico. So look at the exposure, the experience, everything.
Exposure of Team Stevenson gets you opportunities. And what can I say?
Is that what you reckon it is?
We've got Binder in The Ultimate Fighter. Nathan Kelly just
hopefully
been announced.
He doesn't go like some of the other members on the team. That's all.
You mean Nathan Kelly getting into the tournaments, the worldwide tournament? Oh, I mean, Simon.
Are you negotiating behind the scenes for these guys? Are you going above and beyond?
Gheorghe Grozav is going to come back with a fucking bang this year. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. I well believe it, but I'm delighted for Andreas. Look at
Damien McGuigan's actually just been signed to the UFC. I don't know if you heard that.
For that fake news now, media, Stevenson. But look at it's a good opportunity here for Andreas. All jokes aside, and
earned
as well,
earned opportunity. Sure. And I think that the format. I think I don't know if maybe we were chatting in the group or whatever. The format works for him. I think he's a heavy hitter. He's got fucking hands of stone that he's been sparking lads out over the last while. And I think that you stick him in there at welterweight makes the world of sense for him, as we're aware. But also, he's not cutting down to lightweight like multiple times when he's in there. It's welterweight. He's going to be able to make the weight routinely. And I think that, a couple of quick finishes and the world could be his oyster.
Absolutely could be. Yeah, absolutely. Well, kudos to him. Caoilte, I'm going to throw. I'm a bit wary that we're a little bit tight for time here. We would like to kind of talk, but we'll be talking about a couple of these fights a lot more on the build up to Cage Warriors, who announced some fantastic fights really for the 188 card. I'm going to run through the list here, Caoilte, and I'll get you to share some quick thoughts. Kenny Mokahana versus Matt Elliott. Absolute banging fight. Brilliant fight to get us started.
That's the only one we need to talk about.
Yeah. Savage fight. Fight. Solomon Simon versus Christian Gheorghe. Alexander O'Sullivan back. Great to see him back against Dara Toman. Keith Kyo versus Joe Doyle. Paddy McCurry against Ghassan Abdanab. And Jamie Alba-Bissett is great to see him back against Charlie Falcao as well. I mean, lots of mouthwatering clash there, Caoilte.
Yeah, like you could do an entire podcast just going through some of these fights and breaking them down. But wow, like Kenny, that's a massive look. There's a bit of a statement there as well with the fact that you're finally seeing some SBG Ireland fighters signing and competing under the Cage Warriors banner. And I don't know, see the first one in a while. I could be wrong on that, but it's first one in a long time from memory anyway. And he gets matched against.
There's one Italian. I can't remember his name now. The Italian was I can't remember his name.
There was Scalacci.
One of them.
No, sure. wasn't it? Yeah.
But look, he's in there now, and he gets he struggled with wrestlers in the last few fights, and now he gets Matt Elliott, who's competed in wrestling for Team GB, and he's a very high level and judo. So it's it's kind of maybe a bit of a clash of styles, but brilliant, domestic clash, FAI versus SPG Ireland type of fight. Love it. And you have a few of them, Alexander O'Sullivan versus Dara Toman. There's another All-Irish clash, and then Keith Kyo versus Joe Doyle. Joe Doyle probably went under all our radars, I'd say. He was fighting in England for a lot of them on Ian Freeman's show Machine MMA. I think he was 3-3 as an amateur. He used to fight Thai boxing. I think he was training at Warriors there once upon a time, from what I could see. And he's been transitioned to MMA for the last few years and now he's up at Cage Warriors and he's fighting Keith Keogh. So yeah, look, brilliant one. And then it's good to see Jamie back, and then Paddy McCurry, we know like he's bit of a step up competition.
Team Nail.
Team O'Neill flying high.
Love it. Gladiera back on April 27th. Danny Core's promotion up in Belfast. Pro lightweight fight Maga Zubarov versus Marco Boychuk. We have a super lightweight amateur title, Emmett Core versus Michael Shields. Two
banger.
Great fights, yeah.
Banger.
Really great. That Emmett Core versus Michael Shields fights is banging. So I know that card is coming together now. And, it'll be very exciting to see. It was a decent card the last time, and I'm sure it'll be the same this time. 3 snippets of news that we will talk about just before we wrap up here. First one being Palahan is now a free agent from Combatche Global. Had a fight scheduled. Surprise, surprise, fight got cancelled and something like that. So that must have triggered something in his contract that he's no longer in contract anymore with Combatche Global. And I think that is good news. We talked about it being a frustrating one. Look, he was over there. He was getting in some good fights and earning some good money, but his career over the last couple of years had kind of stumbled, and not due to any fault of his own. And I flat out said it here on one podcast. I think that Combatche were mishandling his career in the way they're kind of using him and saying he was going to fight and having fights pull out and on fight week opponent changes. It's just not what you need when you're kind of starting your professional career. He is a free agent right now. Maybe a Cage Warriors, guys. Wouldn't he fit in there? He fought in the Cork card. I mean, could he slot in there? It'd be a great signing for him in Cage Warriors if he was to get in there and, allow Ian Dean to kind of match him right. He's got serious skill set there. And I think if he's put in there with the right matchups, he's got a real good chance of making waves at Cage Warriors. And then who knows what next after that, Andy?
Stick him against someone Irish. That's all. That's just
featherweight. Who could you
There's
go?
loads of featherweights.
Is he featherweight or lightweight?
Oh, sure, he's up and down the whole time. I don't know. I don't know what.
Stick him against Lewis Byrne.
Yeah,
nah, it's a bit early for Lewis.
Yeah.
What about
maybe? I think sending. Do you know we've enough Irish in Cage Warriors. KSW could do with a few, and I think he'd fit in well over there.
Stevenson's trying to match all the Irish against one another.
Actually, can I just start matching your fighters against each other? How do we do
good one. That's the way to go.
John Nork is first.
Will Fleury versus Kai O'Sullivan.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Look, there's lots of options for Pat. I mean, you got the PFL, you've got Octagon, you got KSW, as you said, Caoilte. There's Cage Warriors as well. So
I think, to be honest, anywhere bar
Combatche, because they're fucking jokers over there. Combatche Global and hear
spoofers.
Jokers over there and always
at me, bro.
Yeah. All right, that's it. I had to just get that with the system. Sorry.
Fucking Kenny Muckenwana versus Matt Elliott, though. I mean, come on, let's get back to this one.
That's
get back.
Brilliant.
Fair play to Lewis Simpson, I believe, is the guy who got that deal done. Fair play to you, because there was a lot of beef and there was a lot of Boyle and Cavan are saying that it's all water under the bridge, but is it really? And now we see.
No, this is the first sign. So fair play. Yeah, fair play to all involved there. It's great to see, and hopefully he's the shots being thrown.
There's shots being thrown across the bow as well by both of them.
Look,
Kenny talking in interviews, calling him a clown. I believe there was a clown hat drawn on stuff like that. I think Matt Elliott said he's going to finish him. Cool.
Spicy. Love that. Andy Stevenson salivating here on the video here.
100% pure Irish beef. I love it.
Speaking of 100% pure Irish beef, Carl Moore has been announced for the light heavyweight tournament in PFL, along with Ciaran Clark, who's been announced for the PFL bantamweight tournament. Praise the MMA gods for Ciaran Clark, because we've been crying out for this for Ciaran Clark. There's no man that deserves this opportunity more than Ciaran Clark, and thankfully PFL have found some sense and gave him a good opportunity to go in there against some stiff opposition, and he's at the stage of his career where he needs that. We have Leandro Higo there, we have Jake Hadley there. There's lots of good tests for Ciaran Clark. I feel I don't want to. I think this is big news for both Ciaran and for Carl, and I don't want to just brush over it. So I think as this tournament gets closer, we'll take a look, and I think we'll break down these brackets a little bit more in detail, along with Nathan Kelly, who has been announced for the featherweight tournament as well. It's brilliant to have that Irish interest in the tournaments, You know, and credit to the guys for getting in, and credit to the PFL
Finally.
as well for finally having a bit of sense and giving these guys opportunity. Word has to go out for Dara Kelly. You know, what's going on with Dara, I'm not too sure. I hope that he gets matched up. I hope he's not left in the cold as well, because he's another guy.
Dara Kelly versus Palahan.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Bucket.
Christ, that's a good fight. That's a great fight. Bucket.
And fucking
Belfast.
brilliant to see. This is great to be back, lads. Great. Ciaran Clark fucking has earned that from the post-limbs in his debut against George Courtney, where the fucking 3 arena was emptying out apart from his loyal fan base. He's brought the crowds. He's gotten the wins. 10-0. It's about time. It's great to see him get that opportunity.
Absolutely is. Any final thoughts, Caoilte, before we send it over to you to wrap up?
No, it's just been busy time in Irish MMA. We've probably forgot other stuff, but
we apologize. We'll try. If we forgot something, send all complaints.
How about that Conor McGregor guy?
Yeah, how about that guy? Jesus Christ. Tonight, I was like, stop.
that was last episode, Andy.
Yeah. And he's raging. He missed the rant.
Does PFL Belfast, does that count as an Irish show, or
yeah.
How does that work?
I wonder. No, I'm not even getting involved. Don't even get me started. We'll be going again for another 25 minutes here, another 2-hour show. It's great to have the band back together. Great to have Andy back. Great to chat about. Look at always exciting times with mixed martial arts. We're fucking blessed, lads. We're blessed to have, you know, the fighters that we have and the shows that are on. And, you know, it's, you know, there was a dark cloud that shone over Irish mixed martial arts there for a couple of weeks. But I'm glad that cloud has passed and there's plenty of fucking sunshine to look forward to, plenty of good fights and plenty of good kind of cards to look forward to in the coming months. And
do you fancy an old dip over here for the 5th of or for the 10th of May?
I'm going to UFC 315 in Montreal.
That's a good excuse, to be fair.
Unfortunately, I really want to get. I'll be home. I'm home in August. I'm hoping that I can, if there's a card on, like if I can catch it at all, I'll definitely be there. You know, I really wanted this one thing. You know, it's great going to the UFC events and it's great covering them, and I'll always appreciate it. And you know, but we have to get one together. That's what I really want. I want to cover an event together, and if it was a big Irish show, it'd be even better. But hopefully, we can do it down. Well, me and Caoilte have had the pleasure of doing it. Andy decided that we weren't good enough. We weren't good enough for him.
The disrespect shown to the 2022 IMMAF Nationals, I'm gonna say.
I guess so. Yeah.
That year, I don't know. I mean, we all commentated together. So
Yeah.
Clearly, wasn't that memorable for you?
True that. That one came back to bite me in the arse anyway. But you know, I guess after all that, I want to thank everybody for listening. Of course, as always, like, subscribe, 5 stars, follow me, follow Caoilte. Don't follow Andy. Caoilte, see you soon.
Any last thoughts, Andy, before I... Nope. Once, twice, gone. Gheorghe and Slán go fóill.